It was when they intervened in a planetary siege between the Forax Empire and the Ascendancy. The Forax had just brought down the Ascendancy's planetary shielding when they noticed a powerful pulse originate from a massive structure in the center of the old Ascendancy capital city that spanned far outside of our galaxy borders. They finally cracked the remaining seals around the ancient structure's central console and called out to something. Something came swiftly as if it had been waiting outside of our celestial home for a very, very long time. For the last millennium, our scientists and the intellectual community noticed that stars began to dim in one particular galaxy. At first, this was treated as coincidental supernovas from old stars, but after more were snuffed out, it was quickly realized that the dimming acted as a huge and powerful wave washing across the neighboring galaxy, with rare moments of slowed progress, as if an obstacle only stemmed and delayed the inevitable. Forax Command could only receive images and some distorted hails before we lost contact with both their invasion fleet and the Ascendancy. It was not long before the entire system that the Ascendancy and the Forax fought hundreds of years over was taken by this overwhelming unknown force. Pictures of massive continent-sized starcraft took over the airwaves of the entire galactic community, as well as stars surrounded by enormous drone swarms seemingly consuming the energy they harnessed. Our people gave it a name tied to our god of chaos, storms, and destruction, Durkai. We all took a collective pause and held our breath/glands/moisture sockets as we watched the entire Forax armada descend upon the Durkai outside of its homeworld. Cheers were heard across planets for every Durkai ship fallen by concentrated Forax firepower. But as time went on, a sense of dread and unease washed upon every viewer. We watched as the Durkai wave continued to move unabated. As the Forax fought and fought, the Durkai pressed them back further and further into their planet's atmosphere. The camera footage switched so rapidly due to the craft holding the camera being destroyed that the media opted just to use observation cameras from other systems to watch the battle. The Forax fell within hours after first contact, and like a deadly plague, the Durkai spread amongst the stars within our galaxy. Species have fought them, attempted to speak with them, plead with them, and even defect to the Durkai as long as their world wasn't engulfed as well. But it was all met with silence. The Durkai's massive capital ships, advanced technologies, and evolutionary position perceived us as pigs lined up for a slaughter. As the wave approached, panic reached us first. Sudden evacuations were executed with barely any coordination. Everyone and everything wanted to get away. Like animals, we were chased and pressed against the limits of our own technology. We couldn't get out, and as more worlds fell, millions opted to find alternative ways of escaping this doomed reality. But that's when we noticed another change in the galactic stage. The ancient isolationists, who were older than even the first Galactic Council founder species, started recalling their esteemed tradesmen. Without any additional context, every tradesman approved for access to the galactic community was recalled or had already begun leaving before the recall. The humans were stirring from their long slumber. First came the sudden decloaking of massive Terran war fleets scattered across the entire galaxy. They numbered in the thousands, housing enormous battleships and carrier-like ships. Every time we attempted to scan them for more information, the state-of-the-art scanners had their data scattered while others just came up with nothing. None of the ships responded to any hails, and even when the fleets were attacked by our more hostile neighbors like the Throck, they just shrugged off the incoming fire as if it was a tiny hatchling padding away at its broodfather. The Terran fleets just decloaked and stood beside the respective homeworlds of Galactic Council members. Second came when a separate pulse from the Terran homeworld of Earth was detected. The Durkai wave just stopped. Then after some time, large energy spikes were detected in majority of the Durkai ships. Small rips in space tore in front of them, mimicking a slip-space opening. Right before the Durkai ships entered these rips in space-time, at the center of every Terran fleet was a single large bulbous craft that resembled a large egg. The bulbous craft registered a massive energy spike as some Durkai ships were halfway into its ripple. That was when every single ripple instantly snapped close like celestial jaws, splitting about 20% of the known Durkai fleet in literal halves cleanly. The Kaldari finally could decrypt the pulses that brought the Durkai to our galaxy. They recognized that the Ascendancy were radical zealots who believed the Durkai to be their god, and hadn't realized what the structure on their homeworld was built for or who built it. They brute-forced the coding and managed to activate its primary protocol. The first pulse was an all-clear signal and additionally a beacon, a light in the darkness of space that helped the Durkai navigate to our space. The second pulse was similar but had a separate message. Encoded was galactic common spoken by the Terrans. "Hello again." Another pulse was detected from the main Durkai fleet after the closure of their ripples. Now in galactic common, the Durkai responded. "The Durkai Empire respects the pact. Let us leave." That's when a Terran fleet uncloaked outside of what was once the Ascendancy's homeworld. All of our datapads displayed clear views from Terran battleships hovering outside of the large Durkai invasion fleet. A fourth and final pulse was detected before the entire Terran Navy released weapons that our galaxy thought impossible. Thermonuclear warheads strong enough to take the place of stars crashed against the Durkai line, followed up by planet-splitting laser weapons. Hundreds of thousands of fighter craft firing proton missiles that could easily cripple a Forax flagship. The rest of the galaxy felt as if two gods were fighting in our backyard. Everyone's backyard. Every spot where Durkai was detected, a Terran fleet lay in wait. All the strikes were carried out by what we can only believe is a war-built advanced AI. The Terrans deployed additional shielding to block the intense radiation cast from the devastating battles. The message was clear on all datapads, TVs, holoscreens, etc. Isolation was the pact. Violation is war. The Durkai attempted to fight back, but the conflict was short and swift. Humanity pushed them back until a trail of bodies and wreckage reached the system of first contact. The Terrans called what they had done and what they will do a crusade. It reached far beyond the limits of our own galaxy and touched our once smothered neighbors, bringing back light to darkness. During this crusade, Terra and its humans changed its previous foreign policies and completely opened their borders out to the rest of the galactic community. What followed is what is described as the Golden Age. Once we reached what the Terrans deemed technological maturity, our fleets were deployed across the universe to lay in wait for the next threat. After their crusade, humanity brought its fleets back into their previous positions and cloaked them. We understand our place now on the grand stage. We protect the universe, and the Terrans will protect us. In the cold, endless abyss of interstellar space, where the ghosts of ancient wars roamed and horrors from forgotten ages lay dormant, the universe remained a fractured puzzle of isolated empires. The Proxima Centauri navigation station had long been a sentinel of caution, guiding the cautious races of the galaxy through the treacherous void. No one dared stray from the narrow, carefully plotted FTL corridors, for beyond lay the graveyards of battles between long-dead elder races, fields of cold metal monstrosities and bioengineered nightmares, until the day humanity arrived. The generational ship Indomitable, equal parts battlecruiser and Ark, emerged from the abyss like a scar carved into the fabric of space. It bore the wounds of its journey openly, scorched hull plating, cratered armor, and a faint electromagnetic haze that hinted at the horrors it had encountered. But Indomitable had survived, and its arrival was heralded by the kind of reckless audacity only a species forged by the indifference of a cruel homeworld could exhibit. Inside the navigation station, diplomats and officials from countless species scrambled to make sense of the impossible. The humans had done what no one dared even contemplate. They had ignored the prescribed FTL paths, forging a direct line from Sol to Proxima Centauri. They hadn't just survived. They had cleared a wide, stable hyperspace corridor in their wake, one so vast that entire fleets could travel through it unimpeded. When questioned, the human captain, a grizzled woman with eyes like tempered steel, simply leaned back in her chair, shrugged, and said, "We stared at them and they stared back, but they blinked first. Not my fault our railguns fired just then." The room fell silent, the enormity of her statement sinking in. They blinked first. Humanity's brazen defiance of danger was met with a mixture of awe and terror. The interstellar community quickly convened to make an unprecedented request. If humanity could carve paths through the void, then perhaps they could do it again on a grander scale. Trade lanes, once fragmented and perilous, could be unified. Ancient neighbors divided by the abyss could reconnect. The humans, ever eager to prove their mettle and seize opportunity, embraced the challenge with gusto. Thus was born the Starplow Initiative. The Starplows were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Gargantuan ships bristling with weaponry, shielded with layers of adaptive armor, and powered by reactors that seemed to hum with boundless defiance. Their mission was simple: to plow through the void, blasting apart the remnants of ancient wars and clearing paths wide enough for entire civilizations to traverse. Their names reflected humanity's dark humor: juggernaut of spite, inevitable attrition, and last laugh, among others. Each Starplow was a self-sustaining hive of grim determination, where generations of crew lived and worked in an environment that blended military precision with a kind of chaotic pragmatism. As the Starplows ventured into the abyss, they brought back stories of what lay beyond. They spoke of derelict war machines the size of moons, bristling with weapons that still fired autonomously, of bioengineered predators that could liquefy hull plating with acidic spores, of planets whose surfaces writhed with the remnants of ancient plagues, and of void-born horrors that defied categorization. But for humanity, these were not tales of terror. They were challenges to overcome. Every encounter was a puzzle to solve, a threat to neutralize, and an opportunity to innovate. The wreckage they collected was recycled into ammunition, armor, and technology. The resources they salvaged fueled their relentless march forward. The galaxy watched in astonishment as humanity transformed the abyss from a graveyard into a network of thriving trade lanes. Journeys that once took years of cautious FTL jumps now took mere months. Isolated civilizations found themselves reconnected, their economies revitalized by the newfound accessibility of the stars. As humanity's influence spread, so too did their reputation. The galaxy came to understand that Earth was no cradle of comfort. It was a world of unrelenting storms, predatory ecosystems, and tectonic fury. A place where survival required adaptability, resilience, and a touch of madness. Humanity carried that legacy into the stars and, in doing so, reshaped the interstellar community. The Starplows became symbols of hope and dread. Hope for those who benefited from the newly forged trade lanes, and dread for those who considered opposing the species capable of such feats. When asked why they dared to do what no one else would, a young Starplow engineer summed it up with a wry grin. "Back home, the planet itself tried to kill us every day. Compared to that, the voids got nothing." And so humanity plowed onward, clearing the path through the abyss not just for themselves but for all who dared to follow. The stars, once divided by fear and darkness, were united by the audacity of a species too stubborn to blink.